Is everything Trump does a con? Check this out. Leave a comment, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. So I just have to tell you an amazing story that I read during the break. Mark Sumner lays this out over at Daily Kos. This is not unique to me. This is where I got this. Although Mark is basically pulling together information from publicly available sources and talking about what's going on in Scotland right now. I have some good friends who live literally just down the road from Trump's Scottish property, his Turnberry property. In fact, we were talking on Skype about 3 weekends ago about it and the weird stuff that's going on there. But here's the game that Trump has been playing. I'll just make up numbers here for purposes of example. Let's say that Turnberry, Scotland is worth $100 million. So Trump says, okay, it's worth $100 million. Then the next year, and he declares that value and pays property taxes on it and everything, right? So $100 million. Then the next year he says, the value of this has gone up by 5%. It's now worth $105 million, which isn't how you would do a tax avoidance scheme, right? You would say, no, it's worth less. And in fact, that land in that part of Scotland is actually declining in value right now because the North Sea oil business it absolutely sucks because demand for oil is down. So, but in any case, he says now it's worth $105 million, to use my made-up numbers. And then what he does is he loans himself $5 million and says, okay, I, Donald Trump, am now owed $5 million from Donald Trump. And he puts $5 million of cash into his checking account and then lives off it for a while. And he's been living on money like this for years, which raises the question, where the hell did that cash come from? Where did he get the $5 million that he's saying, oh, well, the value of the property just went up $5 million, so I will loan myself $5 million. Where'd the money come from? Nobody knows. The best guess, and now the government of Scotland is investigating this, the best guess is that Trump is running a money laundering operation like mob bosses do. In other words, some oligarch. Here's why money laundering is so important. You've got to have, if you're going to spend money, you have to be able to show where it came from. Right? If I was to suddenly, buy $1 million house down the street here, and I don't have, and I can tell you, I don't have $1 million income. The IRS could legitimately come to me and say, where'd that money come from? And if I couldn't answer that question, I'm guilty of money laundering. So it looks like this is what Trump is doing. That there's some oligarch someplace that wants to give him $5 million, or maybe $50 million, and he's got to do this same little thing over 20 different properties. But somebody wants to give him $5 million. He sends his son over to their country. His sons have been traveling internationally like crazy lately. And, we're paying all the costs, of course, and all the security costs. So he sends one of his kids over to fill in the blank, and they come home with $5 million in cash. They give that money to Donald. Donald deposits it in the bank. The banker says, where'd this $5 million come from? And Donald says, I just loaned it to myself. I took it out of one of my accounts and I put it into another one of my accounts. I just loaned it to myself. Don't worry, it's all good. I loaned it to myself based on the increased value of my property in Scotland. And the bank goes, okay, cool, because they're happy to have $5 million in their bank, right? They're going to make money on that. They can loan out now $500 million. I think this is worse than a Ponzi scheme. I think Donald Trump is up to his eyeballs in stuff, and he never thought he'd get caught because he never thought he'd become president. I think he's up to his eyeballs in stuff that is that is worse than Bernie Madoff stuff. It's worse than Ponzi scheme stuff because it involves taking millions, probably over the course of years, hundreds of millions of dollars from foreign oligarchs. We'll see. But the piece that Mark wrote in the Daily Kos today is titled "Buried in Trump's Taxes: What's Going on at His Golf Resorts Makes No Sense Unless It's a Lie."